Good afternoon, guys, hope you're all well. So another video for Motorhome Retrofits, and it's a beautiful sunny day down here in Dorset. It's a Friday morning or Friday afternoon, and we are doing a dedicated video on this occasion for the front and rear coach-built parking sensors. Now, this particular 2021 Mercedes Hymer is in for an awful lot of other stuff, so we will be doing a 360 video on it either this afternoon or next week. But we do so many of our front and rear parking sensors that we thought we'd do a dedicated video. The system basically consists of 4 sensors at the front, 4 sensors at the back, and they're color coded. Now, what we do is we try and always fit them in the most logical place for detecting obstacles, but motorhome bumpers are not really designed for that, and even then, if there's factory fitted sensors, which we've not really seen, they have, lots and lots of hours of research and development's gone into it, so we have to be very careful with the whole drilling of someone's bumpers. We'll always use the central number plate as the given for the 2 central sensors. We then need to be wary of what's going on behind the actual bumper, because the chances are there's a metal crash bar behind there. On this particular vehicle, this isn't actually a bumper. This whole piece of trim goes all the way up to the top, and it's then moulded in. So if this vehicle was involved in a situation, an incident, then it would have to only be repaired, or it would be extensive repair job, which would be rather expensive. So having the parking sensors on here for us is a bit of a no-brainer. The 2 outside sensors haven't got any angled collars on. They've got their standard 6-degree angled collar on. I think actually it's 10-degree, and that just means that the sensor is facing dead straight out. Whereas the ones that are lower down here have got their angled collar on, and it just allows the sensor a bit more of a fighting chance to be flat and not facing down. So if you've got a sensor that's facing down and you're driving over gravel or grass, it's going to continually false alarm, which is a bit of a pain in the backside. All the wiring for these 4 sensors are then cable tied up, routed all the way along into the engine bay, through the engine bay into the bulkhead, through the bulkhead into then the front cabin. We then attach and cable tie all of those sensors up, cables up to the parking module. The parking module then is connected to a colour segment display, which we'll show you about inside the vehicle. We don't fit the front audible buzzer on the front parking sensors, and that's just because if one of the sensors was to get stone chip damage, it then starts to beep, and whilst you're driving or on your adventures, you don't want that to happen. So having a colour segment display gets rid of all those problems. The parking sensor module is then set up for a set of front sensors, and it's given a ground, an ignition, a reverse signal where applicable, and more importantly, a foot brake sensor or signal. That means that when you put your foot on the brake, this system comes live and gets 12 volts. It doesn't really matter if you're driving at 70 miles an hour on the motorway. It's when you're slow moving that you put your foot on the brake that then wakes up the system to alert you of any obstacles in front. But again, we'll show you on the dashboard how that works and what it looks like as well. So now join me around the back for the rear sensors. So the rear sensors tend to be a little bit easier than the fronts because we haven't got the engine bay to work around, but we still are presented with similar problems from things like tow bars, height issues, angle issues, and everything else. Now, on this particular vehicle, as you can see, it doesn't matter how much you pay for a motorhome, there are elements of the fairing or the plastic skirting or bumper that's plastic. Now, that means that we can safely drill all of our 4 holes in a nice straight line, but we still got to get our hand up into this gap here, which isn't really that much to work with on some vehicles, to then secure all the cables that run along here. So the sensors are all drilled in a straight line, which then makes it a little bit easier to poke the cabling through here. But there's limited room up behind here for you to get your hand and to fix all of the cables slack, and to make sure that the cables then don't drop down as the vehicle's traveling or moving. So on this particular vehicle, all the cables have come along to the passenger side and then get routed up into the back of the rear garage compartment, and then we cable tie all the slack up for the existing cables, because there's not going to be that much slack from this cable or this beam, but actually from here then you've got the full travel. So we then cable tie those up, make them look nice and neat. Parking sensor module gets located inside the vehicle, which I'll show you a picture of in a second. And more importantly, then we pick up a ground and a reverse trigger from the actual rear light itself, so that when the vehicle is put into reverse, the sensors come live, and only when it's put into reverse. At the same time, Martin has fitted an audible buzzer up into the rear bedroom area, so that you can hear the buzzer whilst you're manoeuvring or parking, and it has 3 different volume control or volume levels. So whatever you've got, if you've even got the window open, it should be loud enough for you to detect what's going on behind you. Now, people do ask about the benefit of having parking sensors, and only recently a customer has said, well, if we're spending all this money for the 360 system, do we need reversing sensors? I would say yes, and only because of the fact that we seem to fit so many of these. When you're looking at a reversing image on a screen, you're looking at an image. Yes, it's live, but it's still not really alerting you to anything, whereas parking sensors, when you've got that audible beep in your ear, it's there to do a job, and that beep's going to get faster and faster and faster to alert you of an obstacle then getting closer. The last thing you want to do is reverse into something, and then it costs you hundreds of pounds, if not thousands, to get this then repaired and then body back color coded back to how it was before. So small investment, I would say, to look after your big investment. For me, it's a no-brainer. Now we're going to have a quick look inside at the rear buzzer and also the front display. Right, okay, so we're now sat in the front cabin here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start the engine up. Okay, brilliant. So we've just started up the ignition, and you'll see already the segment color display is got a green indicator on the left and 3 on the right. Now, the reason why we've got 3 on the right is because of the fact that I have put one of the wheelie bins in front of the sensors on the right hand side. In fact, you can just see it here in the 360 system that was being commissioned at the moment. Here's the wheelie bin here, and that just shows you that we've set it up ready for you to be able to see that. So if I was to put my foot on the brake, that immediately gives the power to the front parking sensors, and they then wake up. As soon as I take my foot off the brake, that stays on for a few seconds and then powers down, and that's because not every parking maneuver is reverse gear, and you will need those parking sensors to stay on just to give you that peace of mind. Where I'm sat here and I'm 6 foot tall, I can't see over the bonnet because there isn't a bonnet. I've got a far stretching dashboard, and in fact I can only see the top of the wheelie bin as it is. So having front sensors, for me, is a godsend. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my I'm going to put the vehicle into drive. I think we've got a manual handbrake, and I'm going to just creep forward ever so slightly to the bins. Okay, so what you can see now is the 5 green LEDs have now gone up to 5. If there was nothing there would just be 1 and 1. But because we then had, we were quite close to the actual wheelie bin, we've then got the first red warning marker. If I just creep forward a tiny bit more, we've then got 2 red markers. Now those red markers flashing means that you're now entering your second warning zone. If I was just to creep forward a bit more, they've now gone completely red and solid. That would indicate that you're around 30 centimeters and no more before you're about to hit your obstacle. If I put the vehicle into reverse and just reverse back ever so slightly, okay, just reversing back, we're just going to wait for those. Okay, let's just reverse back. Okay, so now let's pop it into drive again. And I've put my foot on the brake, And the system has just come live. Sorry for the jerking, Sammy's having to hold the camera. So the system's live, but I'm now creeping forward. So there's our first 2 again. There's our 3. There's our 4. There's our 5. That's what we would consider to be our safe zone. Then we get into more of a danger zone, and that is the 2 red lights. Now, if that wheelie bin was absolutely dead center, you'd have a mirror image on this side. What that basically indicates is the wheelie bin is on our right. If there was an obstacle on our left, then the display would light up on the left-hand side. If the obstacle was in the middle, and it would then light up on both sides. So this is the reason why we think that this system is so successful and so popular, and 1, because of its reliability, and 2, because of the fact that you haven't got some really annoying beeps at the front of the vehicle. You're not really going to be looking in your wing mirrors or at the 360 system if you've got the luxury of having that fitted. You are going to be looking at this. And this is right in front of you. We've fitted it on top of the binnacle. We've had the instrument cluster out. We've run all our cabling down to give you this real sort of seamless factory style feel for the kit. And again, I think that's why it's so popular. So I'm just going to pop it into reverse. Now, as we pop it into reverse, I'm just going to creep forward. We are in a creaky motorhome, so just 1 second. I'm going to just put my foot on the accelerator. And as we creep forward like so, Sammy's now going to walk back towards the back of the motorhome, and hopefully you'll be able to hear just that parking sensor that's now giving a continuous tone. Now, the reason why it's giving you now a continuous tone is because of the fact that we are in what we call the danger zone to the parked car that is behind us. If I was just to creep forward ever so slightly, which I will do, crept forward about 1 foot, I'm going to go back into reverse, and again Sammy will be able to pick up the difference in the actual audible tone. So if you can grab that, Sammy. And the reason why we've done that is just to show you that the parking sensor beeps will increase rapidly as you get towards or closer to the obstacle. If we were, for instance, to drive forward just a tiny bit more, I'm going to just drive forward and then pop it into reverse. Okay, again, the reversing sensor tone has slowed down a little bit, and then a little bit forward, pop it back into reverse. And we've got a nice, clear, calm tone now for the parking sensors. But as soon as we then get... So Sam, if you stay at the back there, I'm going to go into reverse, and I'm just going to edge back towards the vehicle. Okay, you can hear the beeper. So, we've now got our continuous tone. Now, when that tone goes continuous, that means that you're in your danger zone. That's 30 centimetres, about 1 foot away from your obstacle, and that's when you need to take note. The parking sensors are incredibly precise, but if Sammy comes back to the dashboard here, not only have we got proof how close we are to the parked car, and that's why we've got the solid continuous tone, we've also got our 360 system that's not yet finished but is being commissioned as we speak as a backup here, and again that's how close we are to the parking sensors. So this is a video. Let me just pop out to there and creep forward a tiny bit and come back forward. There we go. Our front sensors have just come live and we're detecting that same wheelie bin. So what I'm going to do now is going to pop the vehicle into park. I'm going to jump out and I'm going to pop the wheelie bin dead central and then come straight back. Right, so wheelie bin is now absolutely dead center of the vehicle, which you can see because we've got 2 even green LEDs lit up. Now that's because the wheelie bin is in our detection zone. If I was to go back ever so slightly, let's see if that's enough. We've got 2 green lights, and the 2 green lights are basically detecting that we are The system is now live, it's woken up, but there's nothing in there. So we then creep forward, and we're now at 3 LEDs. We've now got 4. We've now got 5, so we've got 5 green LEDs. That is, as I said to you on this side, that's now maximum. We're still in a safe zone, but we've got maximum central obstruction. So we're going to just creep forward a tiny bit. First of the 2 red lights, but don't worry because they're not flashing. Okay, we've got the first double flash. We've then got 2 double flashes. We're now in danger zone. Danger zone for us, an absolute minimum width or distance behind or in front of the obstacle is when those 2 red lights go solid, which is there. So this is the aftermarket colour-coded motorhome parking sensor system. 4 colour-coded sensors at the front, 4 colour-coded sensors at the back, audible buzzer at the back, and most importantly, this beautiful colour segment display that actually is very similar to the Mercedes one that they used to fit in a lot of their cars, but we fit this to a lot of motorhomes and camper vans, and it works really, really well. So if you've got any questions, anything else like that, please get in touch with us. Our website link is in the bio. More importantly, guys, thank you very much for watching.